Hello everyone, my name is Muhammad Zahii Athallah and I'm here. I want to explain about the Queen Elizabeth and then the Elizabethan age. And for the Queen Elizabeth, I will explain about the first Queen Elizabeth and the second one is William Shakespeare. So without going any further, let's move to the next section. For the table of content, in here I want to explain about the Queen Elizabeth and William Shakespeare, and then this video gonna split it by into two parts. So the first I will explain about first Queen Elizabeth and the Elizabethan age itself, and then the second I will explain you about William Shakespeare. Alright, so let's move to the first part. I want to explain you about the first Queen Elizabeth. So, the first Queen Elizabeth, or her real name was Elizabeth Tudor, was born on 7 September 1533 in Greenwich Palace. Her father was King Henry VIII and her mother was Anne Boleyn. And her unfortunate mother was beheaded on 19 May 1536 when Elizabeth was still an infant. Her father died in 1547 and he was succeeded by his son Edward. He in turn died in 1553. Mary, the older sister of Elizabeth, became queen, and then she suspected Elizabeth of plotting against her and for a time had her imprisoned in the Tower of London. Fortunately, Mary died in 1558 and then Elizabeth I was crowned in January 1559, or exactly is 1 year after Mary died. Okay, for the family, as you can see here in your upper left screen is King Henry VIII, and then beside him there's Anne Boleyn, and then because of that marriage, they have two children named Elizabeth Tudor and Mary Tudor. Okay, then the Elizabethan era in 1558 until 1603 was one of prosperity for England. Living standard for the rich and the middle class rose substantially. However, prosperity was not shared equally. Conditions for the poor did not improve and there were many beggars. And then Elizabeth died on 24 March 1603 in 69 years old. Elizabeth was buried in Westminster Abbey. For the people who curious about her religion, she was a Protestant, but she was not a dogmatic woman. Elizabeth was a moderate Protestant and she treated Catholics leniently. Most people in England accepted the religious settlement, although some Catholics continued to practice their religion in secret. And literature in Elizabethan age. So in Elizabethan age, this period was a golden age of drama, especially Shakespeare plays. This age also probably the most splendid age in history of literature. The Elizabethan age saw the flowering of poetry like the sonnet, the Spenserian stanza, dramatic blank verse, and then the plays of Shakespeare, and then a variety of splendid prose like from historical chronicles, version of the Holy Scripture, pamphlets, and literary criticism to the first English novel. And then, from about the beginning of 17th century, a sudden darkening of tone became noticeable in most forms of literary expression, especially in drama, and the change more or less coincided with the death of Elizabeth. And as you can see, these are Elizabethan famous literary works like Edmund Spenser, and the title is Fairy Queenie, Sir Philip Sidney, Loving in Truth, William Shakespeare Sonnet 18, William Shakespeare Hamlet, Christopher Marlowe, Tamburlaine the Great, Erasmus, Praise of Folly, John Milton, Paradise Lost, Miguel de Cervantes, Don Quixote, Niccolo Machiavelli, The Prince, And the last, as everyone knows, William Shakespeare, Romeo and Juliet. That is all from the Elizabethan Acts and Queen Elizabethan one. So we move into the second part, and I will explain you about William Shakespeare and who is he actually. William Shakespeare was an English poet, playwright, and actor. He was born on 26 April 1564 in Stratford-upon-Avon. His father, named John Shakespeare, was a successful local businessman, and his mother, named Mary, was the daughter of a landowner. And then, Shakespeare, or as aka the father of literature, is widely regarded as the greatest writer in the English language and the world's preeminent dramatist. He is often called England's national poet and nicknamed the Bard of Avon. And about the works, he wrote about 38 plays, 154 sonnets, 2 long narrative poems, and a few other verses, of which the authorship of some is uncertain. Shakespeare married Anne Hathaway at the age of 18. She was 8 years older than him. Because of that marriage, they had 3 children named Susanna and the twins Hamnet and Judith. Shakespeare produced most of his known work between 1589 and 1613. His early plays were mainly comedies and histories, and these works remain regarded as some of the best work produced in this genre. He then wrote mainly tragedies until about 1608. Around 1613, at the age of 49, he retired to Stratford, and then he died 3 years later. Few records of Shakespeare's private life survive. He died on 23 April 1616 at the age of 52. And there, these are the William Shakespeare works. So the famous of the famous is Romeo and Juliet, and then Much Ado About Nothing, Julius Caesar, Hamlet, King Lear, Macbeth, Sonnet, The Tempest, Othello, and the last is A Midsummer Night's Dream. And then beside the list, you can see the complete works of William Shakespeare. So there is a book who including and recording the literary works by William Shakespeare. Alright, I think that's all from me, and if you join this video, it's gonna be great if you like this video, and then I hope it tells you about the Queen Elizabeth and William Shakespeare. So thank you everyone, see you later.